Coming up on the Game Plan with Ron Rivera, it's finally game day. We're hours away from the season opener against the Arizona Cardinals over at FedEx Field. Coach Rivera takes us inside the game plan. How to attack the Cardinals defense and keep their offense off the field. This is the only way to kick off game day with the Game Plan. Let's go. The Game Plan with Ron Rivera is presented by your local Honda dealer. Set summer in motion with the most fun to drive Honda vehicles yet. Buy online, reserve from select dealers, or visit your local Honda dealer today. And by the Maryland Lottery Fast Play Games. Play fast, win fast today. Please play responsibly. Coach, man, our first show with a real game to talk about, which is always exciting. For me, these types of games versus Arizona are always tough, right? New head coach, new OC, new defensive coordinator. You've been coaching football for a long time. What's your process going to a game like this?
Well, basically what you do is you look at where everybody came from.
Yeah.
You know, obviously the head coach coming from Philadelphia. So and as a defensive guy, you kind of figure defensively they're going to play that structure that he had in Philadelphia more than likely. Well, his coordinator used to be the linebacker coach.
Oh, yeah.
So Gannon basically has brought his system from Philadelphia, and they've implemented, or they're going to try and implement it from what we gather in Arizona. Offensively, the offensive coordinator comes from Minnesota through Cleveland, okay, being with Coach Stefanski. So you're going to get a lot of that same similar type of offense that we've seen, and you see a little sprinkling of some of the stuff they did that I think Coach Gannon brought with him from Philadelphia.
Yes.
So for the most part, we're leaning towards the Cleveland stuff, so we spent a little bit of time looking at that stuff, and every now and then for flavor, we took a good look at the Philadelphia.
Yeah, and so like with the Cleveland stuff, I think I find interesting is you get Bill Callahan in Cleveland, and so the running game really reflects what he does.
Yes.
Lots of pin pulls, you know, really stressing the O-line in certain situations, but their new offensive line coach is from the Colts. So how do you say, like, we think they're going to do this as opposed to this? And it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's just so hard to kind of pin down exactly what fits their personnel.
It is, but, you know, again, coordinators come in and, you know, they've been versed on everything that's out there. There's ways to learn those techniques that have to be taught and coached, and I really think that's probably more so anything that what they've done.
So, yeah, when you're looking at this Cleveland, or not this Cleveland, like I'm doing it already, right? This Arizona offense, what do you say is like kind of the biggest threat in terms of their weapons offensively? You know, obviously the quarterback situation's a little unusual.
A little bit up in the air, but I think both those guys have proven themselves to be pretty solid guys.
Yes.
I mean, I think Dobbs is a guy that's a very smart athlete, good arm, good decision maker, a veteran guy. I think Toon, a young guy coming out of Houston, had a good college career, prolific passer, but he's athletic, so you got to also understand that you got to keep him contained as well, because he gets outside the pocket and makes things happen.
Absolutely. We'll talk about that defense real quick. You know, obviously Gannon brings that defense in, doesn't quite have the same personnel like you alluded to already. What do you expect from him, and how do you expect EB to handle that?
Well, I think more so than anything else, what you can expect from them is, I think they're going to be aggressive. We got a young quarterback. They're going to want to be aggressive. They're going to want to try and do some things to try and throw Sam off of his game. I think EB has some counters to that. I think that, you know, we have opportunities that we've got to be able to exploit. Some matchups that we may like, and see how it goes. Yeah,
I mean, you always got to find those matchups, and a good job playing that close to the vest, Coach. You're good instead of that right now. Love that you kept that tight. Can't wait to see what EB and this offense does on Sunday. All right, we got our first look at Coach Eric Bieniemy as the offensive coordinator of your Commanders. Obviously, the last time he saw Jonathan Gannon's defense was in the Super Bowl when he was on that offensive staff for Kansas City. Obviously, we saw that turned out. Let's take a closer look at what this Kansas City offense that EB's brought here can do against Jonathan Gannon. Time to head over to the film room presented by the Maryland Lottery Fast Play Games. Play fast, win fast today. Please play responsibly. All right, Coach, man, game week's here. Let's take a look at this Arizona defense. Now, there's not a lot of plays from the preseason, especially with the starters, but I think there's enough to kind of figure out who they are and what they want to be. They play this 3-4 structure here, which is what they did in Philly. Jonathan Gannon comes from Philly. What are some of the advantages of playing this kind of defensive structure?
Well, for the most part, though, there's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. In my opinion. I always believe that. I really do.
Okay.
Because again, you have a 7-man box. In that 7-man box, you for the most part have 4 basic defensive linemen, 3 linebackers.
Yes.
They come out, they go into a 3-4 structure, 3 down linemen, 2 rush outside linebackers, and then the 2 inside linebackers that really play downhill. Now what it does is it poses really is your blocking changes against a 3-4 versus a 4-3. I mean, I'm one of those that just thinks that, again, each scheme has its own fit. And so what it does is the run fits for the linebackers are completely different than a 4-3 front.
Right. Yeah, I always was told that, like you kind of half the defense and it stays even, unlike with a 3-4 where you get the 3 technique. And I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
There are pluses and minuses, but they do get some big bodies here on the inside, right?
Yeah.
Big, heavy dudes, kind of not great pass rushers guys. They're there to stop the run, right?
They're a little bit more stout against the run. And when you got 2 big defensive outside linebackers that are quote-unquote defensive ends, you're even more stout. Some people feel that you can play the run a lot better. If you want to run the ball against these guys and you come out in a 2 tight end set, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
To counter it, what you want to do more so than anything else is come out in 11 personnel. And only have 1 tight end, because then they'll match it. They'll go to a 4-man front, and then you can get your standard. Run fits.
And I'm really glad you said that, because here we go, right? That's kind of exactly what the Kansas City Chiefs did, right? They kind of get out here in their lighter personnel. This is a tight end here. But then they got the 3 wide receivers like we were talking about. They match with a 4-down structure, which is, again, I think much easier to run the football against because the lines and angles are much easier. But one of the things that I kind of noticed or I thought when I was watching this film is that they seem much more aggressive in coverage, Jonathan Gannon's defense, than when they were in Philadelphia, right?
Well, again, just from what I've seen watching them in the preseason, you could say that just because it is different.
Yes.
You don't have the front that they have in Philadelphia.
Some in Philadelphia.
Right. And so you could rush with just those 4 guys.
Yeah.
This is a young group of guys. They're learning a system. To help the system, what you can do is you can be aggressive. You can call more aggressive stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing I like about this defense, though, is that they've got guys that are flying to the football, right? It's maybe not the biggest bunch of names, but they fly to the football.
No, and that's always a trademark of well-coached guys that, they play discipline, they play fast, they hustle to the football, and they're aggressive. That's what you're going to get from a bunch of young guys also, because they're enthusiastic, they want to learn, they want to grow, they want to be players in this league.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last time that this defense, Jonathan Gannon's defense, played against Eric Bieniemy's offense was in the Super Bowl, right? And Gannon seemed to be kind of in a more conservative mindset, and obviously Patrick Mahomes, all these offensive playmakers, but they get in this kind of really deep quarters coverage here, really far off the ball, really putting these underneath linebackers in like high stress situations, and they were able to carve it up a little bit underneath, right? But I think Gannon does, like he's talked about a lot, how he varies his coverage structures, how he varies his opportunities, and this one, much more aggressive.
Well, again, how aggressive you get is dictated on where you on the field,
love that.
What the time is in the game, what you're trying to protect against. I mean, right here, they're at midfield. This might be a shot area based on self-scouts or scouting.
Yes.
And this says, there's a chance they're going to throw something vertical. Hey, let's be off a little bit. Let's keep it in front of us. We don't give a big play. Yeah. So now, as you take away the field position, and now you're defending more. Now you're going to tighten it up. Why? Because again, you don't want them to slowly just move it right down into the end zone. So you're going to be a little more aggressive, try and take away some of his easy throws or throws that he prefers, and force him to do a little bit more. And that's what you're seeing right here.
Yeah, and so like with a young quarterback like Sam Howell, like how do you coach this? Because there are these times where, again, I watched this 100 times. I didn't even think about it, right? They're on the 30. That's kind of where the strike zone is. Coverage calls change. How do you get a young Sam Howell ready for that?
Well, I mean, a couple of things you're going to do more so than anything else is you're going to want to also use the run in certain situations. Now, this may be one of those things I think in the third quarter or something where these guys had to score.
Yeah.
And so as they got into scoring position, he got a little bit more aggressive and tried to take some things away from them.
Yeah.
And again, that's what you try to do is you want to now find where the weakness is or where your best matchups are.
Sure.
So when you've got a 3-by-2 split on that, now you're looking at it, and as you count it, right down here, you've got 3 over 3.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, 3 over 3.
So you would think that, again, I'm going to work to this side, and if you look at the way the quarterback reads this, he's looking here to Kels. And you would almost think that you would get a turnout as opposed to turn into coverage.
Yeah, because like if they, like you said, if he turns out, there's nobody there for him.
Correct.
So there's always holes in every coverage, just got about where to find them. But yeah, man, I think like the way that this offense matches up gives you a lot of answers versus this kind of cover 3 match versus that quarters that he showed earlier. So I do think that there's a cool opportunity there, but a lot of different stuff to see, and it's always so hard to tell because you don't know what he's going to bring. It's like you said earlier with the Arizona clips, different personnel, different situation.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing more than anything else. He's got a good young team. He's got some talent. The defense is led by Budda Baker. Is going to be, I think, is one of the real terrific safeties in this league.
Yeah, Coach, thank you so much. Learned a ton, man. Appreciate it. Don't miss Command Center every week on our Commanders YouTube channel. Santana Moss and Fred Smoot are with me to break down the games and take you inside all the action. Coach, I know you're a fan of Command Center. Catch it every Thursday. Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, Coach and I are heading into his office to dive deeper into the season opener against the Cardinals. That's coming your way on The Game Plan with Ron Rivera, presented by your local Honda dealer. Welcome back. It's time for the Rivera Review, presented by DC Prime, Loudoun's premier steakhouse. For dinner reservations or private dining, call 703-840-2099. All right, Coach, let's take a look at this Arizona offense. And you said it already on the show that this is going to be kind of a mix of Cleveland and Indianapolis, a little bit of what Philly does. But one thing I think this play shows is they are going to use a lot of tight ends, and they're going to try and pinpull you to get to the perimeter. And what are the challenges of the multiple tight end sets with the fullback and them always trying to kind of create angles to the perimeter of the offense?
Well, and that's the biggest thing. They're trying to create angles. What they've done here is they're giving you a slot formation, okay?
Yeah.
And they're going to bring the Z receiver down, and they're going to have him crack on the defensive end. To me, at this point, as a defense, you have to be aware of what they're trying to create once they come into motion. Okay, and now knowing that they've created angles to work downhill.
Yeah.
Okay, they're going to cut off linebackers, they're going to cut off a defensive end, and then they're going to put a big offensive lineman on a corner.
Right.
And they're going to tell the other DB to tackle. And then what you do is you go to the next guy coming from inside out, which would be the linebacker.
Yeah.
And while the corner is jamming on the receiver is looking to seal the linebacker from the inside. Yeah. So really, if you look at it right now, based on their alignment, the two receivers have already created the angles that they needed to slow down the pursuit. Because as we continue to play,
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now what you have now is you've got a offensive lineman coming around.
Yes.
And he's looking up another corner.
Yep. And then the other thing is the fullback allows them to add another gap weak. So they really they're extra guys here. This should be a house call if this is, great job by 32 here scraping off the top. But this is a tough down. This is tough. These runs are tough because they kind of challenge your rules and they make players that don't normally fit runs.
Well, I mean, that's really one of the ideas and attitudes offenses have, and is we're going to make your corner tackle.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to get the ball and you want to spill it outside, that's fine. But when we spill it, we know we got our best runner coming up against a corner that's got to have the arm tackled. And most times people expect running backs to break cornerbacks' arm tackles.
Sure, absolutely. And then, we talked about number 70, that's their 6th overall pick. Paris Johnson, great football player, young football player, but good athlete. You see that here, and that's what that athleticism allows you to do is get to the perimeter and get hats on hats.
Yes.
So that's one feature of the offense, and that's something that they did in Cleveland. They do it all the time. Another big feature of that offense is play action pass out of heavier personnel groupings.
Right. Now they come out in 12 personnel, 2 tight ends.
Yep.
Okay. Bring the tight end back into the box.
Sure.
Okay. Get you to adjust. Now what they do is, because they brought him back into the box, they're going to chip their way out into the pass route.
Sure.
Okay. And then they have the back to this fake to on the play action. He's going to help on the other side, on the other defensive end.
Sure.
Giving the quarterback more than enough time to make a decision on the route.
And then can you just talk about why this is such a challenging thing for a defense?
Well, 2 things that they're doing right here, and the first thing that they're doing more than anything else is off of the play action.
Sure.
Okay, it's going to get the linebackers to step up. It's going to freeze the safeties for a second as well. So it's going to allow the receivers to get off into their routes. Yep. Secondly, what it does is now the defensive line has to read their way through the blocks into the pass rush. Okay. So here you see in both examples, the tight ends make first contact with the defensive ends, okay? And then because of that, it slows them down, allows the puller off the play action, okay, to secure the block. And again, giving the quarterback enough time.
Yeah, I mean, I love a good play action because it really helps with the protection. And also, I think just look at the space in the second level of that defense, right? It really creates great throwing. So obviously the pin pull stuff, attacking the perimeter, creating angles in the run game, the play action pass. And then one thing that I was kind of surprised to see was in the third down situations, how much they were trying to get the ball to number 4 here, Rondell Moore, on these little choice routes.
Well, Rondell's a guy that's very quick, good route runner, and for the most part, he's got great hands, has an opportunity to make plays, and he knows how to get those plays made just by putting his body in the right position. Here, what he's doing for the most part, he's just running a choice route or an option route, whatever you want to call it. But the big thing you see more so than anything else is as he's coming off the ball, okay, he recognizes right now where the leverage is. He sees that he's got leverage slightly to his outside, so he's going to shake him like he's going to take some sort of step outside, freezes the corner, or excuse me, the nickel coming down into coverage, and just breaks enough into the hole to get the first down.
Absolutely. Coach, thanks so much.
All right.
Good luck today, man. It's going to be super exciting to watch.
Appreciate it.
Now that you've been in Coach's office, how about heading into the locker room? That's what it's like to hang out with the guys on Players Club. London Fletcher and Santana Moss talk with your favorite players every week. You can watch it at 11:35 p.m. on Saturday nights on WUSA 9 and listen to the podcast everywhere you get your podcasts. When we come back, Coach is giving us the key to leaving FedEx Field with a win later today. You don't want to miss it. That's next on the Game Plan with Ron Rivera, presented by your local Honda dealer. Welcome back. It's time for Healthy Competition, presented by Ortho Virginia, official orthopedic and sports medicine partner of the Washington Commanders. All right, everybody, we get to take a look at our new offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy. The last time we saw Jonathan Gannon was in the Super Bowl, Kansas City versus the Philadelphia Eagles. How has that Jonathan Gannon defense changed, and what is EB going to do to match his new changes?
I think they're a good young football team. They've got some quality young players in some key spots. I think they've got a good scheme offensively, defensively, and special teams. I think their coaches are guys that have been around success. I mean, Jonathan Gannon coming from Philadelphia, being around that group, and then coming here and bringing his defense, his style of defense. His defensive coordinator was his linebacker coach. Offensively, the coordinators coming from Minnesota through Cleveland to Arizona. So he's been with Coach Stefanski, and I got a lot of respect for the way Coach Stefanski does things and that running game that they have. So you see a lot of those things being emulated there. There is every now and then you see something that Philadelphia did on the offensive side, and then special teams. Coach Rogers is a guy that's been in this league a while, so they've got a good coaching staff, and as I said, they got a lot of good young, hungry players. On the defensive side, Buda Baker, I think, is one of the really good safeties in this league, and he's an emotional leader for their defense and for their team, for that matter. So, I think their quarterback situation, I like both their quarterbacks, even though one of them's just a rookie. I thought, we liked him and him coming out from Houston. He throws a nice football, and then Dobbs is a smart, athletic quarterback with a good arm, an NFL arm, and you saw that. We saw that in the preseason. So. We're not taking this team lightly. This team, they're paid like everybody else. They want to win. They're coming here to win. So we got to be on our game.
Make sure you watch Game Day Live with B. Mitch and Santana at 12 p.m. We have exclusive field access on that show. It's going to be awesome. Make sure you check it out. Post-game live after the game, B. Mitch and I will be there. And I got to be there to calm B. Mitch down, play that smooth jazz, make sure he's feeling good about it. Watch on YouTube, Facebook, and X. It's time for your ticket to a dub, presented by SeatGeek, the official primary ticketing partner of the Washington Commanders. Coach, in addition to the game coming up this week, the Arizona Cardinals, that's very exciting. You had Magic Johnson in the building. How was that?
It was really cool. He and Mr. Harris came in, visit with the players, and then Magic gave a little speech, a little talk about what it's like, what it takes to be a 5-time champion as a player and a 5-time champion as an owner. And so that was very enlightening. Our players really got into it. He really lit up when he talked about his playing days and how it kind of correlates to us as players and coaches. So it was an exciting talk. It really was. I think our guys got a lot out of it.
And you said, I think the guys got to ask questions. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did anybody, any question, you're like, man, that's the right kind of question we wanted to hear?
Oh, they were all kinds, like, hey, what's it take to what characteristics, tell you that you're headed on the right track to be a championship team? You know, what are the characteristics you need to have a championship team? So there was a lot of those good questions that were going back and forth, and you could see Magic light up when the guys hit on a topic that he loves.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was very engaging, obviously. I'm sure the guys loved it.
And the thing to love really is he talked about competing and about hating to lose and wanting to win badly.
Yeah, absolutely. And so in terms of wanting to win badly, you got the Arizona Cardinals coming up this week, or today. What in your opinion, are the keys to winning this football game?
I think more than anything else, all three phases have to play very well. They have to be very solid, very sound. We can't beat ourselves. This is an opportunistic young team coming in. You know, we were them a few years back. This is this group. They're going to be coming in. They're young. They're still learning. They're still growing.
Sure.
There's a lot of enthusiasm for them as they come together for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, when you look at the offense, there's a lot of playmakers on that side of the football. How do you kind of defensively say, hey, we can't let them beat us on something cheap? You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, and you've got to be disciplined in the secondary. But the thing we got to do is we got to make them one dimension. We got to be able to, you know, withstand their attempts to run the football.
Because I guess that's right. With a young quarterback, right, they're going to want to take a lot off his plate and put it in the hands of that, you know, James Conner, right?
Yep.
And that makes good, sound football decisions. In terms of offense, what are you looking for from this young offense?
Well, I think for our guys, the biggest thing that we want to do is we want to be able to run the ball and be balanced.
I got you.
You know, again, because if we can run the ball, action play comes into it. And a big part of what we want to do also is we want to put ourselves in position to move the ball and really just hold on to it.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Just burn the clock up, chew the clock up, and be a team that can, can dictate the timing of the game.
Own the game, right?
Yep.
Coach, can't wait to watch you guys
All right.
today. Super excited. Make sure you guys tune in next week. We'll be here every Sunday.